A very good morning to each one of you on this auspicious morning. And I welcome you all on Skilling on Saturdays. Today we have with us our guest speaker, Saksha Duggal. He is 19 times TEDx speaker and is recognized as an artificial lawyer expert. He is also an esteemed member of the Forbes Communications Council. He has been a guest speaker at prominent organizations like United Nations Main Office, Harvard University, HPAIRx, Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO, All India Institute of Medical Sciences AIIMS, National Institute of Disaster Management, and NIDM. He gives trainings to company founders, corporates, and working professionals on subjects like AI crimes, cyber laws, business communication, as well as his favorite subject, public speaking. And today we welcome Saksha Duggal at Skilling on Saturdays, and we look forward to learn the speaking skills from you.
Great, Shivani. Thank you so much. So, can I start?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So, good morning, guys, and thank you so much for this
Your
early
voice is
morning.
little low about it.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Hello.
better.
Perfect. So, good morning, guys, and I hope all is well. It's good to see all you guys on a Saturday morning. And today's topic is public speaking. Well, public speaking, I'm sure all of us know what is public speaking. We have heard about different aspects of public speaking, myths and you can say technique as well. But what exactly is public speaking? And at the end of the day, what are the practical principles which are simple yet effective, which we can use in our daily lives? So before starting, I just want your participation throughout the session. I'll be asking a couple of questions. You can just write it in the chat box. So starting with the first question, what is public speaking for you? And I want equal participation from all of you guys because this will not be a typical session where I'll be having a PPT. No, that will not happen. But here we will be having more of a discussion, and more importantly, what are the ways in which we can actually use public speaking in our daily life? Speaking in public, okay, what else? Communicating in mass, that's right. What else? To invite people attention, speaking with a group of people, means to speak among unknown people. Great, thank you so much. Now, my second question, which will help me to navigate this session as well, is that what are the questions or what are the topics which you would like me to cover throughout this session? You can write that in the chat box. Now, you might be thinking, why am I asking this question? Well, for these kind of sessions, I always believe that it's better to talk about what the audience exactly want, what is the exact pain point. So before I move forward, I should know what are the points with you guys would want to know. Storytelling impactfully, expressing great. What else? Because believe me, I've been asked a couple of questions which I was not expecting in different sessions. How to retain an audience, building confidence to speak on anything, impromptu speaking, how to increase your memory power, how to speak confidently, how to structure. Great. So the couple of questions, the couple of topics that we have been able to observe here is that how to structure your speech, how to learn your speech, how to do impromptu speaking. Well, let's start with the fundamentals of speaking. Once we understand the fundamentals, then we'll be able to go to these aspects as well. Well, speaking, yes, theoretically, we all know speaking to the masses, connecting with them, having a conversation, this and that. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that speaking as a topic is all about psychology. It's nothing about how proficient you are in your English vocabulary or how good you are, how presentable you are. These factors are there, but on its base, it's all about psychology. And the simple human psychology, if I have to talk about scientifically as well, is that when two beings are there, right? Person A, person B. Person A says something. Now, person B, see, speaking, when I say public speaking, it's not just about speaking, it's also about listening as well. And I'll tell you why. First, you have to understand the basics of communication. When a person A speaks to person B, the person B has two options. Number one is to hear, second is to listen. There is a massive difference between these two. Hearing is that you just having that input, but you're not analyzing it. For example, let's say you're doing some work. In your daily life, you're doing some work. Let's say a mother, she's working in the kitchen and a child is saying something. The mother is engrossed in that work. Or the father, let's say he's working somewhere and the child is saying something. And I'm sure this has happened to most of us. The person is saying something, and after a minute or so, we are like, okay, I didn't hear what you said. That is hearing. Listening is paying full attention. And in public speaking, obviously, we want our listening skills to be enhanced, and we would want our audience to listen and not hear. Most of the speakers, they make this huge mistake that when they're speaking on a stage, they think that they're speaking. But speaking can never happen without knowing the fact that your audience is listening or hearing. You would want your audience to listen, not hearing. How would that happen? Yes, there are a couple of factors, but you have to understand the nuance first. Once you have your audience in a listening mode, then the audience can reciprocate. And in a communication, let's say I'm talking to you guys, so I would want a reciprocation. If a reciprocation is happening at an equal pace, at the same page, that's why you can say that you are a good public speaker. Most of the speakers, they make this mistake that they speak for half an hour, 45 minutes, and they think they're great speakers. No, without your audience, you're nothing. And specifically, if your audience is actually answering to your questions time and again. That is why lesson number one is it should always have a proper, healthy interaction. When you see big public speakers, right? People like, let's say, Tony Robbins or Simon Sinek, or let's say in India, let's say a prime minister. Yes, they are speaking, but at the same time, they're communicating as well. If you're not communicating while doing public speaking, your public speaking goes in vain. That's rule number one. Rule number two is that you have to understand uh, the harsh reality that no one is bothered about you. And that's true. That's the unfortunate part. When we as public speakers, let's say we get a session, we are excited that, okay, this is my session, I'll prepare this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that we are not a celebrity right now, right? So if we are not a celebrity right now, people are not anticipating as such. And at the same time, they're not very much excited. Let's face it. Let's say you're going to a corporate or you're going to school. There is a keynote, right? You want to speak. So the audience there, let's say 50 people are sitting. 50 of them, almost 99% of them have their own mind somewhere else. Someone is thinking about their job, someone is thinking about their relationships, someone is thinking about what is to be done today, someone is thinking about something else, right? Our mind wanders. As we all know, our attention span has gone for six, because of which your expectations should be clear. Because initially, when we start speaking, our expectation is that everyone is here to listen to us. Well, in reality, no one is there to listen to you. But as a speaker, it is your duty to make sure that people find value in you. That is why in speaking, opening becomes very important. Most of the people, they ask me that yes, opening is important, but we don't understand that why. Because if we don't know why, then we'll just blindly follow things without any logic, and that would not serve us good, right? Therefore, you should understand why the opening is important, because no one is bothered, and as a speaker, it is your responsibility to grab their attention. That was rule number two. Rule number three: during speaking, we have heard this line that, and initially, I'm sure most of you must have heard this line that whenever you're speaking, just think that you are the boss and everyone sitting in the audience is stupid. I've heard this, in a lot of places where when a child or when a teenager is just starting to speak, the first thing that they are told is that just think you are the best and you know everything, and your audience who's sitting there are stupid fools. Well, that can help you initially, but slowly and gradually, that actually backfires you. Why? Because, see, initially, yes, you get that kick, you're able to speak, but slowly and gradually, this rewiring takes place. This concept that, yes, I know everything and my audience doesn't know anything, that becomes wired here. And that is another important point that we need to understand. Never, ever underestimate your audience with respect to knowledge, with respect to questions. Whenever you are over expecting from your audience, that is a good part. Why? Because when you're over expecting, you will prepare more, you will be grounded, and at the same time, you are prepared for certain challenges as well. A lot of speakers I've seen, they get questions and they're not expecting these kind of questions from the audience, and they get blank. Now, when I say audience, it's not just stage audience, it can happen in a group as well, in a social gathering. So always over anticipate that, okay, these guys can ask me something, or these guys know a lot of things which I might know, I might not know. No matter, let's say, I think a couple of CAs would be here, some lawyers would be here. Let's say, even if you're practicing for 15 years, don't think that you know everything. Why? Because today's we are living in the space of internet, and people can gather knowledge from here, there, everywhere. So people can ask you different things. Be prepared for that. So never underestimate your audience. And number fourth, uh, I would say this is the most underrated tip which a lot of public speakers miss, is that always be innovative. What do I mean by innovative? See, everyone is starting at a different stage. Someone is starting from here, someone is here, and someone is at a pro level. It doesn't matter on what stage you are in. But what happens is, at every stage, let's say today I'm giving a speech here, okay? And there are a couple of points which I'm mentioning. And after one point, you guys love it. And I get great feedback from you guys that, okay, it was lovely, what lovely points, this and that. As a speaker, as human beings, the basic psychology is, this session was great. Now I'll have to replicate. That becomes a blunder. See, I'm not against replicating, but I'm against replicating completely. Why? Because if I'm giving a session today, if it's a great session, I'll copy paste this somewhere else. What will happen is, I'm not innovative, number one. Number two, my speaking style also gets redundant. The human body adapts quickly. And if I know what is coming next, so the effect won't be there. Therefore, I don't care at whatever stage you are in, level 1, level 10, level 100. But always try to add something innovative in your speech. This can be anything. This can be, let's say, you are changing your opening, or you're adding some new stat, you are adding funny punchlines, or you are changing the way you're presenting or the way you're interacting with your audience. But the more innovative you are, the more charged up is your brain. It's thinking constantly. It knows that you won't settle for just one typical style and typical content. And that is where you will be having an edge over others. Because you have to understand, today we are living in the age of AI, and content is quite easy. Effective speech, making effective speech is also easy. Therefore, innovation is the only thing that will keep you, that will be a USP, and that will actually keep you ahead of others. So these were a couple of, I would say, basics of speaking. I've not gone to body language, voice modulation intentionally. Why? Because most of us, we have read books, we have seen YouTube videos, we have seen Instagram reels, and everyone talks about these topics. So I think we are familiar, at least with the basics, why body language is important, why voice modulation is important. So I've not gone to that. I've gone to those tips which I have actually experienced in my practical journey so far. Now, coming to impromptu speaking, I heard that a couple of 3 to 4 people were talking about impromptu speaking. But my question to you is, why impromptu speaking? Why should we even learn impromptu speaking, or why is it important? I would love to hear your thoughts on this question. Do we have people writing in the chat box? You can be crisp. It's not necessary that you are ready for like this discussion. What else? Opportunity may come anytime. That's right, Viren. What else? To influence, need to retain audience to our goal. Well, I'll tell you, impromptu speaking becomes important, extremely important, in fact, in two scenarios. Number one, what in Hindi, what we call as hazir jawabi, or in English, we call as quick thinking, thinking on their feet. And this can happen in any conversation. It's not necessary that you are on stage. You can be with your friends, you can be with your colleagues, you can be in front of your boss, you can be with your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend, right? That is important. But number two, which a lot of people miss, is that as a speaker, when you're going to a session, you will be asked questions. And when you are asked questions, you don't have time to think. If someone has asked you a question, you can't say that, okay, give me 2 minutes, I'm thinking about it. No, you have to think on your feet. You have to start straight away. You have to give an effective answer, a simple answer, and quickly. Therefore, impromptu speaking is important. But the question is how to develop impromptu speaking. Well, the science is quite simple. As human beings, as I said, we adapt quickly, we learn quickly. So, this brain has a lot of knowledge of different subjects. It depends upon person to person. Let's say someone is reading a lot, someone is not reading a lot. These factors matter. But the basic fundamental we have to understand is that we all can learn quickly, and this storehouse has a lot of knowledge. So, for impromptu speaking, always remember that knowledge is the key. If I am talking about, let's say, my subject, okay, public speaking, or today I'm talking about public speaking, but generally I talk about AI and cyber. So, there my knowledge has to be there. If I have a vast knowledge, then the chances are high that the question would come in some of these topics. And if I have the knowledge, I can speak quickly. So increasing knowledge is a must. We talk about tactics of public speaking, this and that, but impromptu speaking is nothing without knowledge. Knowledge of your subject, or in general, if you're not talking about your subject, let's say you are in a social gathering, there you would not talk as a CA or as a lawyer, you would not talk about your subject, but then you should at least be well versed with the basic knowledge of different fields. Now, I'm not saying go and read about different fields. No, just a simple knowledge. For example, let's say if I am today talking with someone, there are a couple of topics which will come out, right? Let's say money, economy, social gathering, human beings, psychology. These kind of couple of topics are there which you are expecting, which would come in a gathering or which would come in a corporate setup. If you know those topics, at least know the basic. Why? Because if tomorrow someone asks you something, then you should not be blank. I'll give you a practical example. So one of my students, okay, so he is at a good position in a corporate. So what he did was, he was very close to a promotion, and there the boss used to test people. He used to he used to love new insights from different people. So one day he was talking to this guy, and these guys were playing golf, right? When these were playing golf, so they were not expecting. This guy was not expecting that. Okay, he will have certain conversation, but the boss was smart. While playing golf, suddenly in between, randomly, the boss asked, okay, Mr. XYZ, let's say his name is Saurabh, okay? Okay, Saurabh, so what do you think about this stock market crash which happened? This would impact the company shares or not? And how do you think the way we can move forward? And this guy was blank. He was not expecting this kind of a question on a Sunday morning when these guys are playing golf. But that's the catch. Impromptu speaking saves you in these kind of situations. If this guy would have been a little prepared with the knowledge, and he had the confidence, he would have straight away delivered. That is why it becomes very important. So number one is knowledge. Number two is practical implementation. Now, how to execute, how to speak impromptu, how to do impromptu speaking. Well, there is a simple exercise. And before that, I would like to ask how many of you have been part of Toastmasters? Please, if you can just write in the chat box. Any club, if you have been part of Toastmasters. Me, Gaurav. Who else? Only Gaurav? Okay, Manoj was there. Okay, so Gaurav and Manoj, I'm sure you must be acquainted with this, table topic session, right? So table topic sessions, for those who don't know, yes, this technique is quite old, but Toastmasters, the organization, was the first one to propagate and make this technique quite popular. So what happens is, it's a simple technique. Pick a topic, speak on that topic for at least 30 seconds initially if you're just starting, or 1 minute. You can increase your level, but a lot of people, they make this mistake is that, let's say today I have to practice, I'll straight away take out a topic and I'll speak. No, try that the topic is being given random and on the spot. You can ask your wife or husband, you can ask your children to just give you any random topic, and that topic should not be related to your profession. Take those topics where you would feel uncomfortable. Let's say, for example, if I'm a legal guy, then let's say I might not know about tax economy, or I might not know about engineering stuff. So give those topics, not too technical. If today I ask someone what is prompt command engineering, a lot of people might not know. So the topic should not be too advanced. It should not be too easy. It should be at a moderate level. Those kind of terms which you might have heard in general parlance, but you don't know a lot of things about it. That's one. Try with that. Try with 30 seconds, then go for 1 minute and max 2 minutes. Once you are acquainted with this part, that you're able to speak for 2 minutes, coming to the second part, which is pick weird topic. Now, what do I mean by weird? Uh, okay. Who would like to be a part of this exercise? I have a demo right now. If someone wants to volunteer, you can just unmute
It's me.
yourself.
Yes.
Who was this? Dr. Renu, right?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So Dr. Renu, let's do this exercise. I'll give you this one topic and you have to just speak for 1 minute on this.
Right.
Okay. The topic is circle.
Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Circle in a geometrical way, it is known to everybody, a circle. But even in the speaking, we can say it's a community in our environment. That is also a circle. But circle can has a student they draw as a round one, but we can even do the circle and then a sun type, and again we can make arrows around it and draw a mind map. So this can be very useful to know about a topic where the mind map can be used. And the circle is nothing but you can say it is a different category for different people. It looks very different, and circle is one which we do start with in practicing for children to write. All this can be a circle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Renu. That was a wonderful attempt. Now, this was example number one, and I'll give you certain insights from it, but I want another volunteer. Anyone?
Myself.
Okay. Who was there?
Rajkumar Adukia.
Sure. So, sir, your topic is Apple.
Okay. Apple, it's a very interesting product. It is very interesting subject. there is a age-old saying, "A apple a day keep a person healthy." So, and we know Apple products every day we use. So those products also keep us very productive. There are several fruits, but apple is considered the king of fruits. That's all.
Hey, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir. So, what was your observation? If you can write it in the chat box, certain observations that you have observed in both the cases. We took two examples. Perception of understand topic may different. Yes, that's right, Sampada. That is your superpower. That's what I was trying to highlight. That is why I gave these simple topics: circle, apple, because these, see, at the beginning you can start with these topics, but you have to be really creative. Now, when I gave apple, perception is different. There are no rules. The biggest mistake we think is that if, let's say, I'm given something as, let's say, apple, so I only have to talk about the fruit apple. No, apple can be anything. Apple can be the product apple. The apple, you can connect it with apple pie. So there are different things. In fact, there is a city called Apple. So you can connect it with everything. That is where you become creative because you're thinking on your feet. The more creative you're becoming during this exercise, the better impromptu speaker you will become. Shuffling from one category of thoughts to another, again back to first, makes people confused. What are we talking? Well, thank you so much for that doubt. And I would like to highlight here, yes, that's true. If you're just jumping around, that would definitely create confusion. But see, when you're starting with this exercise, initially you will jump around. And I'm sure in these two examples, you saw that there was no chain of thought, but yes, there were different thoughts. Obviously, because we are not practiced this yet. But once you practice this slowly and gradually, exactly. Thank you so much, Shivani. You can connect the dots. And trust me, this happens naturally. Your brain is smart enough to do that, but only when it is used to all this. It is not used to, having this exercise that suddenly someone would say, answer this, and you have to straight away speak. No. Do this exercise again and again. Try to be creative. Let's say, okay, mm, button. Button is another example. Now, button can be anything, not just little button. I can start with, okay, I can give my demo. So you will get a proper understanding. If someone can give me a topic here, and this can be any topic, try to give me a tough one, try to give me anything which you would feel that this would give me, a little difficulty to speak. I would want your topics in the chat box.
Plastic
The first,
pollution.
plastic pollution. That was right, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes, yes.
Plastic. Well, last week I was at a restaurant. I was eating my burger. I was loving it. Suddenly I was feeling thirsty. As soon as I was feeling thirsty, I took out my bottle and I was drinking. But suddenly my friend stopped me. Why? Because my friend said that this is plastic. I was like, yeah, this is plastic. So what? He was like, bro, this plastic is causing a lot of pollution. And not just around you, inside you as well. I was like, why? Then he told me and he showed me articles on the internet how having plastic bottles in your house and using it every day, which almost all of us do, is actually increasing the amount of plastic inside your body. Forget about plastic pollution in the world. That is happening. We are learning from this, learning about this from standard 3. But plastic pollution inside your body, that is super disaster. That is why I understood how important it is not to use plastic and understanding the importance of plastic pollution and ways to remove those plastics from your daily household. So this was topic number 1. What was your observation? Or okay, let's do another topic too. This can give you more insight. Any other topic which you would like me to give, which you would like to give me?
You talk on skilling on Saturdays.
Sorry, I didn't get you. Your voice breaking.
We can talk on skilling on Saturdays.
Skilling on Saturdays. Well, the topic sounds great, but I have a question. Why skilling on Saturdays only? Why not skilling every day? Yes, I can understand we will only meet once a week, but skilling on Saturdays, I personally believe skilling every day can be important. And there are different skills that we all can learn: sales, marketing, public speaking, and whatnot. But one thing that as skills we need to understand is that these skills are nothing without knowledge and practice. Let's say public speaking. We can read different books, we can watch different videos, but if we want practice, nothing would happen. Or vice versa. If we are just practicing without knowledge, without the do's and don'ts, then also nothing would happen. Therefore, yes, skilling on Saturdays is great. You guys are putting up a great initiative. But I personally believe that skilling every day becomes extremely important for all of us. So, guys, these were the two examples. What was your observation? If you can just write it in the chat box. Unmute. Yeah. If you can just write it in the
Use
chat box.
storytelling.
Store knowledge and expose it, meeting any technique. Okay. But first, what was your knowledge? Sorry, what was your this thing? Insights, or what was your observation from my two examples? What did I do?
Storytelling, that is the thing that storytelling is the thing that you infused
Storytelling.
with whatever
Right.
knowledge you have on the topic.
What else? Anything else which you might have observed?
Yeah.
For and against. Yes, that's right. Thank you so much.
Off body.
I think someone is unmute at the moment.
When you
Yeah.
know how to play with the words,
Play with the
with the
word.
little knowledge you
Exactly.
have on any topic.
Exactly.
I
I would request if you can just mute. I think someone's unmute at the moment.
ದೋಷ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ಯಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. So in these two examples, I didn't give my best intentionally. I started from the basic level. Why? Because as she said correctly, I was playing with words. If you might have observed, I didn't provide much knowledge. I was just talking about basic things, but there were a couple of things which I was using again and again. Number one, storytelling. Number two, having a conversation, not having a speech, having a conversation. In the first example, I was still talking, but in the second example, it was more about a conversation. The third thing, which you guys can also do, not straight away, but eventually, is that you can engage others as well, because that helps you to get more ideas, it helps you to think more, and the audience also feels great. For example, let's say if you're giving me a topic and I don't know about it, I seriously don't know, I'm blank, then what to do? To buy time, ask the audience, what do you feel about this topic? Different people will give different answers. And in that time, you will get the time to think. And more importantly, you will get new insights from the audience. Once, whatever ideas you're getting, pick on those ideas, build a story, and then move forward. That is one. Second, be creative. There are no rules that if I'm talking about something, we have to only specifically talk about that. I'll give you a small example. So the other day, I was there was this, you can say, a competition, a speech competition, and we were given a couple of topics. And I remember what was the topic? Yeah, red missile was the topic that was given to me on an impromptu speech. Now, red missile, obviously, people think about a missile and this and that. I converted that okay, I was making a mocktail at my home. Throughout those 2 minutes, I was just explaining what did I do. I was adding ruabza, I was adding rose, sugar, this and that, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of 2 minutes, I said that this mocktail, I name it as Red Rock. red missile. So you see what happened here. I did storytelling. There was no knowledge at all. I was buying time, but somehow I was able to connect the topic with my respective content. So the more creative you are in impromptu speaking, the more people would appreciate. In the beginning, I told you that it's all about psychology. So in impromptu speaking, it doesn't matter whether you are on stage, whether you are with your friends, with your spouse. People, yes, they appreciate knowledge, but more than knowledge, they appreciate your creativity and they appreciate your humor. If you have creativity, if you have humor, then it's a deadly combination. So try to have these two things. Humor can be a little difficult, but creativity is not difficult at all. You can only get creativity when you practice this exercise again and again, and do it randomly. It's not that like I know one of my students, so he does this exercise with his son every morning. Don't do that. Be random. Just let's say sometimes you're doing in the morning, sometimes randomly you're telling your son that, okay, or your daughter, that okay, give me a topic. It should be random enough. Why? Because that is where impromptu speaking would work. That is why your brain would get attuned to this fact that, okay, different questions would come at me straight away. I have to be prepared. I have to be creative. So the more practicing you're doing with this kind of a setup, the higher are your chances that, number one, you'll get creative. Number two, you will have storytelling slowly and gradually. Because if I have to tell, if I have to be very much honest, in our daily lives, we all do storytelling. बहाने कौन नहीं मारता? हम सब बहाने मारते हैं. कभी अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ, कभी फैमिली के साथ, मैं लेट हो गया, मैं जल्दी आ रहा हूँ, मैं बिजी हो गया, बहाने सब मारते हैं, राइट? So we know how to do storytelling. It's just हमें बहाने यहाँ मारने हैं, that we have to connect our stories, our bahanas with the topic. That is why creativity comes. So this was a simple crux about impromptu speaking. I would not talk about other jargons because I believe that talk about two and implement those two things first. Once you implement this, you will see a massive shift in your impromptu speaking. So this was impromptu speaking. What else? Yes, someone asked me how to structure your content, how to memorize it. So these two go hand in hand. See, there are two types of content. One is your speech. Let's say you're giving a keynote. The other is normal conversation. So in normal conversations, as I said, if you have knowledge, at least the basic knowledge of different things, it's easy for you to talk to people. And this actually, this can happen in social gatherings. Let's say I'm going at a corporate event. It's a networking event. I don't know anyone. So you should know how to break the ice. And you can only know how to break the ice when you are well versed with at least the basics of a lot of topics. So that, let's say tomorrow, if you're meeting a person and that person is talking about, the person is, let's say, in the manufacturing space, and you are a CA. Now, manufacturing and CA are two completely different fields. But if you at least know the basics of manufacturing, then you can talk to this person, because the person would feel good that, okay, this is my subject and this person knows about it. Great. We are able to communicate. Because at the end of the day, again, psychology, you have to realize people love their subject. And if I love my subject, and if person B comes in, the person B is also talking about my subject, I would automatically start to like this person. Not love that person, but yes, the initial liking would be there, that, okay, this person and we both gel because we have certain common topics. That is one. And it's very much easy in general conversations. You don't structure your thoughts in general conversations. But coming to number two, which is the biggest challenge, that speaking on stage, how to structure your thoughts. There are various effective ways on the internet through which you can structure your thoughts. But I'll just tell you one simple method which I personally use in all of my talks, whether it's TEDx, whether it's United Nations, whether it's Indian Parliament, whether anything, right? Number one is have an impactful hook. As I said, the opening is very important. Those of you who have watched cricket, you don't have to be Rahul Dravid, you have to be Virender Sehwag at the beginning. That is where you will be able to you will be able to grab their attention. Now you will ask me, what kind of hook can we create? See, hook can be of different things in different ways. Let me give you a couple of examples. Number one, you might start with a thought-provoking question. You might ask them something which they are not expecting or which forces them to think. That is one. Second, you can start with a humorous statement. Third, you can say or do something which is abrupt. So, for example, I was at a webinar 2 weeks back, and I had to talk about public speaking. So as soon as the host, she introduced me and she gave the stage to me, I started like this. I'm sorry, guys, I can't give this speech. Right now, I'm feeling a bit nervous, and I'm sorry, I won't do it. And I simply switched off my camera. For 5 seconds, there was pin drop silence. And then I came back, and then I said, this was me 3 years back. I was so scared with public gatherings and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously I took over from there. But this was abrupt. People are not expecting. The psyche of your audience is that, yes, it doesn't happen consciously, it is subconscious. And okay, ask yourself, whenever you're sitting in an audience, what is the first sentence or the first word that you're expecting from the speaker? Any random guesses in the chat box? There are these certain set of words that you are expecting the speaker would speak straight away. Exactly. Thank you so much. Good morning, greetings, hello, how are you? These are the basics and we have been trained for this from school, right? From school, this used to happen. Good morning, greetings, welcome. But here it becomes boring. If a speaker is doing what the audience is expecting, the audience won't love it. See, you have to understand one simple philosophy, and I've followed this thoroughly, that a speech is just like a movie. Whenever you're going in a movie hall, you're not expecting that you should know the plot of the movie. You're not expecting boring dialogue. You are here to get entertained. And when I say entertain, it's not just about masala movies. Entertainment is a mix of knowledge, something new, something which gets your mind going, right? It is a mix of a lot of things. And that is where you feel that, yes, this movie was great. There was thriller, there was romance, there was knowledge, there was sometimes horror as well. What I'm trying to say here is that in a speech, the similar things happen. When an audience is there, they don't want a typical speech. They don't want a predictable speech. They don't want to hear those kind of things which they already know. And they want the speaker to be innovative in their speaking way as well, how they engage. So if you have this metaphor in mind, you will exactly know what to do and how your audience is thinking. That is why opening becomes very important. If your movie opening for the first 5 to 10 minutes is not great, then you switch off that movie and you'll turn on to something else on your Netflix. The same thing happens in a speech. Obviously, they can't switch you off, but mentally they switch you off. They're just sitting there, but they're just waiting, when will you finish? Therefore, have a strong opening. Number two, start with a story. Once the hook is there, straight away bring up a story. And the more personal the story is, the better. When I say personal, you don't have to share your personal, vulnerabilities, but at least it should be personal to you, so that whenever you are reciting that story, it looks authentic because it's your personal experience. That was number two. Number three, in that story, intentionally add certain humorous anecdotes or humorous examples. A lot of people, they give you the story, it's great, but in the story, at certain points, we need humor. This can be a punchline, this can be a relatable instance, or anything. But humor is important throughout the story. That was three. Number four, the moral of the story should be exactly connected with the topic of your speech. Because if you're just telling story and it is not connecting with the topic, the audience, you would lose your audience. Exactly, hold them. You have to hold them in your story, and at the end, bring the moral to the topic. Number 5, now comes the knowledge part. Once you have, touched upon the topic, let's say if you're a CA, you're giving on a certain taxation, for example, tax policies, whatever. Now, instead of starting it straight away, you're taking the other route, hook, story. Then throughout the story, it's relatable, it's humorous, and then you're giving the moral. The moral and the topic is connected. Now, you can, for some time, you can come up with your knowledge, whatever is the actual content of your speech. Number 6, while delivering the content, again, try to have a conversation. Engage your audience with questions, engage your audience with certain insights from them, so that they also feel appreciated that yes, it's not a one-way thing, it's a two-way thing. See, the more you'll increase this two-way thing, the better it is. You don't have to overdo it, but there is a certain level which you have to achieve. Number 7, after finishing up your content, always summarize the bullet points. What were the learnings? These were the 4 learnings, these were the 5 learnings, because it helps the audience and to you actually revise it and they remember it. Summarization scientifically has been proven that yes, we can remember content quickly. And number 8, always keep them hanging. Now, this is something different. Okay, I'll again give a movie reference. I'm sure most of you have watched Netflix, right? So in Netflix web series, what happens? 99.9% of the time, at the end, you don't get a satisfied ending. You get a cliffhanger, something where you are not satisfied and you have to wait for the second season. Why do they do that? Because they want you to come and watch the second season as well, right? Exactly. Keep the curiosity alive. And as a speaker, you have to do that. Now, you might ask me, we are not running a web series. Why would we, not satisfy our audience? Most of the speakers, with their noble intention, they satisfy their audience. But I personally say only deliver 70% and make it evident that you have not delivered fully. Throughout the speech, make it evident. Why? Because once you've given the speech and your audience is not satisfied, in terms of that, okay, they're wanting more, chances are super high that you will be called the second time as well. A lot of us, we get opportunities to speak, but we are not able to convert them into second time opportunity or a regular opportunity. And as a speaker, it's a must. Therefore, if the content is great, everything is great, and you're not giving them all the things, you are leaving it at a cliffhanger, the second time, chances are there, I'm not saying guarantees, but chances are there that the organizer and the audience would love to have you the second time as well. So this is a simple framework which I use in my speeches, and it's not just me. You can observe big speakers, big TEDx speakers, they also follow the same format. The only thing is that yes, their own creativity comes in, their own speaking style comes in, circumstance and topic. These are also a couple of factors which will change your speech. But at the end of the day, if you'll follow this simple structure, it will be very much easy for you to actually deliver content with a proper structure. What kind of hooks to use? As I said, Binal, you can be humorous at the beginning, a typical joke, or not typical joke, I would say, but typical statement which would make them laugh. A thought-provoking question can be there. Something abrupt. I gave you the example how you can be abrupt. Anything which the audience is not expecting. Why? Because you want to grab their attention at the end of the day. See, throughout your speech, your only aim is to grab attention. Whether grabbing attention is through knowledge, is through your speaking style, is through some hooks, that depends upon you. But grabbing attention is important because your audience attention span has gone for a 6. After every 6 to 7 seconds, they want something new. And thanks to this social media reel culture, this attention span is suffering. So guys, this was about having a structure of a speech. Now we have what I think 10 to 12 odd minutes. Any other doubts, any questions that you guys have apart from these two topics
Can I
or
just
from
ask,
these two
sir?
topics?
Just want to ask a
Sure.
question. Can I?
There is a simple question. Yeah, Just let me
Can I ask?
take the question and then we'll come back to audience questions. So we have a question in the chat box, like how to infuse humor into the speech.
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you so much. And humor is a tricky subject. A lot of people they are scared from it. They think that we are not humorous, we are not Kapil Sharma. And trust me, you don't have to be Kapil Sharma because for him, humor is his core strength. I'm not saying make humor as your core strength, but the fact of the matter is, we all need to understand one thing. Big myth is that we don't know how to be humorous, and that's wrong. I say that we all are humorous. I'll give you a small example. How many times it has happened that you're speaking something in front of your family, in front of your friends, in front of your loved ones, where you are comfortable and people laugh? Not literally laugh, but yes, they giggle. You make them at least giggle. This can be anything. At the end of the day, if throughout the session you must have observed this thing, whether it's storytelling, whether it's humor, anything. It is there with you. You do it in your daily lives, but the only difference is you do it with your loved one. Why? Because there you are fully comfortable. When you're on stage, you get conscious. Let's say if Shivani is on stage, she's not her real self. She might get a little conscious, a bit serious, or anything, but she's not her real self. The person who is their real self on stage is authentic, can get humorous, can have impactful storytelling. These skills are there, but obviously exercises are there to hone your skills. Now, coming how to deliver humor. There are two techniques at the beginning, and I would say don't jump to more. First, apply these two techniques. Number one is be prepared with certain jokes that you think would definitely work. Be prepared. You should have those 3 to 4 jokes in your armory that I can put these jokes in my content and people would definitely laugh. You can come prepared with that. Number one. Number two, whenever you're talking about relatable stuff, people smile. I'll give you my example. I gave the example of bahane, right? Excuses. And when I said bahane, those people who are on camera, they were smiling because it was relatable. See, again, people are smiling right now. I didn't, I never cracked a joke. I was just being relatable. So the more relatable you are, the better it is. I talked about Kapil Sharma. If you look at him as well, he is not someone who cracks jokes, but he talks about relatable observation. If you must have observed his shows, the Kapil Sharma show, in the initial segment, he used to talk about, okay, शादियों में ये हो रहा है, घर में ये हो रहा है, मेहमान ऐसे आते हैं, वैसे आते हैं. All about relatable stuff, no jokes. So the more relatable you are with your audience, the more chances are there and you can become humorous. So these are two techniques which you can initially start with. Yes, advanced techniques are there, but I would say don't go to that because that can get a bit overwhelming. So I hope that answers your question. I think there was another question here.
Thank you. Yeah. So these are really wonderful tips to apply.
Thank you.
So it was Rekha ma'am. Were you
Yes.
asking something?
Yes.
Yeah. Please.
Actually, this was really interesting conversation. Really, I'm so overwhelmed with the many things. Like you mentioned, speech is like just like a movie, and you mentioned 8 points. I think I have missed one point. Should I get revised in all of these points in just keywords like opening, humor, moral of the story, then knowledge, then conversation part by asking questions, making it interactive, then summarize, then always keep hanging. One point I missed that.
You missed the storytelling, I suppose.
Yeah, storytelling was the only point.
Okay, storytelling. Yes, this is the important part. That kind
And
of
right now, I think I just read something in the comment section that someone was saying, in my opinion, Kapil Sharma cracks cheap jokes. Now, there's a very important observation here. Most of us in our lives, it's not necessary that we love everyone. We like someone, we don't like someone, and sometimes we even hate some. I personally say, if you want to learn public speaking, that everyone can be a teacher. And that's true. When I say Kapil Sharma, I'm not saying he's great. I'm just saying the good part that he has, what you can actually imbibe from it. Now,
Yes,
yes,
thank
I should not talk about politics, but I'll give a simple example. A lot of people, they might not like BJP. That's true. They might not agree. But let's face it, our Prime Minister, he knows how to speak. He knows how to grab the attention of the audience. It doesn't matter about other things. But what I'm trying to say here is in public speaking, and this comes to another point. A lot of people ask me that, I follow this, I follow that. I personally say, don't follow one respective speaker. Why? Because if you're just following, let's say, Barack Obama, okay, I love Barack Obama. I think he's a brilliant public speaker. He is a brilliant public speaker. But if you're blindly following one person, you will become that, you will have that kind of style only. You will not have diversity. In the reference of cricket, when Virendra Sehwag comes, he entered in Team India. He tried to become Sachin Tendulkar, but he realized he cannot become Sachin Tendulkar. He is Virendra Sehwag. He took some things from Dravid, he took some things from Tendulkar, but he applied them in his own style. So what I'm trying to say here is, in public speaking, always try to have different teachers because everyone has a different strength. If someone is humorous, someone is serious, someone is knowledgeable, then someone is spontaneous. Have 6 to 7 people which you would follow, because once you're following those 6 to 7 people, then you become an overall fusion of them and you have different things. You don't imbibe certain mistakes. You only imbibe the positive things, and at the same time, you note the pattern that, okay, this speaker, the weakness is here. Okay, I will not apply that. I can have something else. Let's say Kapil Sharma, okay, his weakness can be that, being humorous is great, but sometimes it goes to the cheap level. Then obviously you don't have to follow that. You just have to pick, okay, he talks about relatable stuff, I can pick that. Someone talks about non-cheap stuff, okay, I can pick that as well, and how I can combine these two. So yes, any last questions? I think we are
This
done for the
one
day.
part was
Okay.
really very impressive and very helpful, thought provoking. You should be fusion of the 6, 7 people in your speech.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Really,
you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Akshay, this is Gaurav. So I have one question. So, like, I'm a very good speaker, thought-provoking points I ask. I'm going to the various industry, and my sense of humor is my strength. So, just want to know one thing: if you have everything attending to a smarter, whenever we go to any place, we become a attention of yeah, we become attention seeker also sometime. So of course that is a part of it. So one thing, how to increase your vocabulary. So it is good that you can connect with people in a simplest and best manner, but maybe when you are in the industry forum where a lot of great knowledgeable guys are there, how to go at that moment, maybe the vocabulary, how to increase.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for that question. And yes, I partially agree. I don't completely agree, but I partially agree that in corporate settings, the language, unfortunately, there is a bias that if your language is good, you might be knowledgeable. However, language and knowledge, these are two different things. Someone might be super knowledgeable, but their language can be very much simple. So yes,
Yes.
language is important, but at the same time, the practical way out here, and which I have also personally observed, is that in your English vocabulary, have certain 4 to 5 words which which we use in our general, let's say, okay, I'll give you my example. I was about to say general life, but instead of that, I can say general parlance. The meaning is same, but if I'm using parlance, subconsciously you would think, oh, vocabulary अच्छी है इसकी, right? But in corporate settings, the way, the part I was not agreeing to you is that at the end of the day, yes, vocabulary, everything is great, but at the core, people only want relatability. The more relatable you are to them, to their pain points, to their problems, to their reality, the better it is. See, as an audience, as a speaker, you have to understand what is the reality of your audience. When I say reality, let's say, for example, you're going to college, okay? You're going to college. What is the reality of a college student? The person is not bothered about marriage right now. The person is not bothered about retirement plans or anything. The person is just bothered about job, right? If
Right.
you're going to corporate, their reality is different. They don't, in fact, they don't care about family and stuff, because now ठीक है, वो घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर वाला हाल हो जाता है उनका, right? ठीक है, फैमिली है, सब कुछ है, मार्क्स आ गए, जॉब हो गई. What are they thinking about? They are thinking about their pain points at the moment. They are thinking about future opportunities, future retirement plans as well, right? So once you understand the reality of your audience, it becomes easy to get relatable. And if you are relatable, you are impactful. That is a hardcore truth. The more relatable you are, the more impactful you are, because your audience thinks that, yes, this person exactly knows what am I feeling, what are my problems. You just have to be a doctor. If the doctor exactly knows how you feel, what is the problem, why are you feeling this pain, where are you feeling the pain, in your mind you think, yes, this doctor is the best. So I think that answers your
Excellent.
question.
Yeah, absolutely. You answered. Thank you, Sakshar. And one related part of it, the how to remove the biasness when we are a speaker and audience asks the question. Sometimes they are not the good communicator. They are unable to form their sentences properly, and it takes sometimes longer and longer. And we missed attention span. You rightly said. Even for us also as a speaker is less. Yeah. So how to still pull attention to the audience when they are asking question?
That's a very good question. And coming to the bias part, it's a huge challenge, because we are conditioned in certain manner, right? We are taught certain things, we listen to certain things, and then we condition ourselves. 5 minutes back, I was talking about, don't be biased towards one person, whether in a good way or a bad way, because you are only increasing your biasness here. And biasness becomes a problem, as you said, attention span, it creates a problem there. And at the same time, more importantly, you're not able to learn and you're not able to see the main reality. I'll give you a small example. So there was a panel discussion happening in one of the colleges. I was there, three, four speakers were there. There was this senior gentleman who was from the corporate space and quite a known personality. Okay. We were talking to him and he was like, Gen Z to barbad hai, phone pe lagti rehti hai, ye nahi karti, wo nahi karti. Throughout this time, he was just talking about how Gen Z is not up to the mark. ये खराब है, attention span खराब है, serious नहीं है, ये वो नहीं है. But what was he actually doing? It was his biasness which was crowding the reality. The reality, yes, there are children who are not focused. General problem is there, but that is not the true reality. That's not the absolute truth कि सारे ही निकम्मे हैं. No, it's a gray area. People are, there are children who are bright, there are children who are trying, but biasness clouds your reality. Therefore, if you ask me how to get over biasness, you have to be conscious. Most of the time, whatever you're reading, whatever you're listening, you have to remind yourself, I don't have to be biased. I have to speak it, I have to observe it from a neutral sense. What is what is white, what is black, and what is gray in. I should not be adamant that yes, this is white, only this is black. No, everything is gray in life, but you should be smart enough to see what it is. And the less biased you are, the smarter and a better speaker you are, because then you understand your audience pulse properly. You exactly understand the audience, what is their problem, what is, what can be the solution, how can I be a problem solver to them.
Got it. Very clear. Thanks. And one line I will just add only that sometimes we become biased on similarity and familiarities. Same perspective people, we like-minded people start connecting. Instead of having the different perspective people, we feel, okay, he's thinking something else, right?
That is why I'm saying that having knowledge of different subjects also declutters biasness, because it's not something, let's say stock market, okay? Stock market, generally we say, अरे पैसे डूब जाते हैं, yeah, or we say that पैसे बढ़ जाते हैं. These two are biased things. If someone is actually acquainted with stock market, he or she would understand that it's not about gamble, it's about proper strategy, it's about proper investing. That is the reality. So when you have reality, you don't get biased, and you are at the end of the day, you become smart. Because if you see, I'm sure most of the gatherings, आप लोगों ने observe किया होगा, कोई चाचा, मामा, ताया, फूफा, they're talking about something, and in your mind you're saying, यार क्या है, मतलब कुछ भी बोले जा रहे हैं. ये I'm sure सबके साथ हुआ है. ये तब होता है जब बंदा रियलिटी में नहीं होता, वो एक स्पेसिफिक बायस से जी रहा हो. So the less biased you are, the better it is. Someone I think asked about contact number. Sure, you can take my contact from Shivani. Assumption, that's right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Assumption is a great, I would say, it's the biggest killer of public speaking. The more you assume, अगर आपने assume कर लिया मेरी audience को तो इतना ही पता है, और audience से ज़्यादा पूछ लिया तो आप out हो गए. अगर आपने assume कर लिया अरे stage ऐसा होगा वैसा होगा और वो up to the mark नहीं हुआ, फिर obviously आप दुखी हो गए. So how to stop getting emotional if we are given topic, which is our pain point, but still have to. That's a good question. And I think we can take this last question. How to not get emotional? See, I'll give you an example of a doctor. Okay. A doctor is also a human being, right? If the doctor is operating someone else, it's fine. If the doctor is operating someone he or she knows, yes, the person might get conscious, the person might not be at ease, but at the same time, they remind themselves that, boss, this is my duty. It's different. I don't have to see the, I don't have to see the patient as someone who's my mother, father, chacha, taya. A patient is a patient. As a speaker also, number one, as a speaker, it's your duty. See, if you give yourself an option, I can get emotional, I can back out, then you can back. But if you are adamant that this is my duty is a duty, you have to do it whether you are liking it or not. That is a simple, there are no techniques for this, this question. The simple thing is, number one, you have to understand as a speaker, it's your duty, you have to speak. If I'm a cricketer, we have all heard about Virat Kohli's story, right? When his father passed away, he could have made an excuse, and it was not an excuse, that was genuine. But still, he was like, it is my duty. I have to perform. It doesn't matter what is happening in my personal life. As a speaker, you have to speak on that topic because your audience is waiting for you. Number one. Number two, and this is more of a practical tip, always be a little detached from your topic, even if it's a personal story. Let's say someone is telling their personal story. A lot of people, they get emotional, they cry, but the harsh reality is that after one point, audience doesn't care. They don't care. They might cry or they might get emotional for 5 seconds, but if the speaker is crying only for 30 seconds, they're like, yeah, please, let's move on. Because for them, it's not a personal story, right? They are listening it from a third perspective. For you, it's personal. It happened with you. This is a little, I would say, a little harsh. A lot of people won't agree with it, but this happened. Therefore, be a little aloof. Understand that, okay, I'm not too attached with this topic. I will explain. I might get a little teary, but I'll not lose my senses. I'll not lose the composure that I have. So I think, yes, thank you so much. And it was a wonderful session. If any doubts, I'm active on LinkedIn. You can follow me there. Apart from that, you can ask my number from Shivani as well. And yes, thank you so much. So over to you, Shivani.
Yeah, thank you, Sacha. It was wonderful to listen to you as well as get a lot of speaking tips that we can implement in our speaking. These were wonderful. There are still some questions in the chat box. If you are having some extra minutes, we can take up.
Sure, sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Can I
please.
ask?
Yes, Shri Krishna, please go.
It was a wonderful illustration, which was given a lot of tips given how to make ourselves improve first. My question is for a beginner, when we provoke him or when we ask him, or I'm using a word, provoke him, ask him, help him to speak. How would you, when he makes a mistake, how would you give him a feedback so that he continues speaking and he continues correcting his things and learn the art of speaking?
Well, thank you so much. And I think this question can be a little, I would say I can connect this because a lot of people, they ask me this question because, and when when I've tried to talk to them, what is the reason behind this question? Most of them, they say that we are trying to motivate our kids. This is another thing that children,
True.
as parents, if let's say I'm not good at public speaking, and if my child wants to do it, obviously as a parent, I don't know how to handle that situation. I don't know how to push that child. So I can give you my personal experience. So till 11th standard, I used to stammer a lot. I was not good at studies. I was pathetic in public speaking. Even speaking, forget about public. I was pathetic at speaking as well. I used to stammer a lot. I used to run away from stages and social gatherings. But then one thing completely changed me. And I think that is the only personal tip I can say, which is be shameless. I think being shameless is the biggest blessing if someone wants to be a good public speaker, whether it's your child, whether it's you. As a child, as human beings, what are we? We don't want to get judged. We don't want that someone is laughing. As a child, also, let's say if I'm a 5-year-old, and you must have observed this in children as well. If a child, see, they are carefree, okay, they are doing whatever, they are dancing, they are playing. But if other people they laugh, obviously they're not making fun of that child, but they're loving it. That okay, bacha cute hai, this and that. The child gets conscious. He stops. He observes people and then he mellows down. You might have observed this small trait in children as well. Why? Because as human beings, we don't want to get judged. We are born free, but in society, we know that people would laugh, this and that. So we curb ourselves like this. But the more shameless you are, then you don't care whether someone is laughing, abusing you, not talking to you. If this is specifically to your child, if you want to give your child a great push, if you're ingraining in your child, be shameless. It doesn't matter. That's the best tip, and that's the quickest way in which you can actually escalate. Because when you're shameless, then you are expecting everything. Now you don't care. Person is laughing, whether is getting up and leaving. The person doesn't want to listen. If you're shameless, that shameless not in your content, obviously, shameless with respect to speaking. That I would put my point forward. Like in my case, okay, I had to be shameless. Why? Because I used to stammer. I literally used to speak like this. Takshat is my name. This was the way I used to speak, right? And people used to laugh. But the day I became shameless, I realized that, okay, I'll speak whatever I want to speak. It doesn't matter whether it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll speak. It, it doesn't matter at all. And what happened? Eventually, my stammering, it was not there. Why? Because it was not a defect. It was from here. It was through underconfidence. I was I was I was thinking about a lot of things. What will people think about me? I take a lot of time to speak. I am underconfident, blah, 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 blah. The more shameless you are, the better you are able to present your point straight up. Any last questions?
Thank you, Sakshi.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
One more question is Ashwini is asking that in between our speech, if we get stuck, how to cover it up?
Well, thank you
And
so much for
a similar
Yeah.
question was there by someone above in the chat, that if we forget the points, what is the way to remember? Because
Great,
a
and
lot
I
of
think this
time we speak and we forget the
yeah,
points
this
that
is a
we want
relatable
to speak.
point. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
relatable point. And again, see, if you might have observed this session, you might have observed that the problem is not the problem, but the myth that we have with public speaking, that is a huge problem. Now, this question, what is the myth? The myth is, as speakers, we are proficient, we'll speak this and that. The reality is, we are human beings. We are bound to forget. And trust me, I've spoken to a couple of big names in the speaking industry. When I've talked to them, they say that, 60% of the time we forget our content. 60, not 1 6. So if big public speakers are forgetting half of their content, then what are we? But the catch is something else. The catch is they have a blueprint of their structure. That okay, I have to talk about these 5 points. In those 5 points, what is the content that might differ? As in, the examples might differ, or the way I'm speaking might differ. The structure can go haywire. For example, we all have given 12th boards, right? So in 12th exams, when we used to write, there was a structure in our mind that, okay, this question has 4 points. But in those 4 points, I'm sure most of you might have forgotten that, okay, यार exact answer क्या था? I know 2 sub points, I know 1 sub point. फिर अपनी कुछ कहानी बना देते थे हम, है ना? Same thing happens in speaking. If you forget, first of all, be relaxed. That's okay. 50% of your problem is finished. Then you're relaxed. And when you know that, yes, people forget, I have also forgotten, it's fine. Second, it should not come up on your face. See, this is your biggest detector. If your face is not telling that you've forgotten, people don't know about. So I've been doing theater for the past 15 years. That has definitely helped me in my speaking. But in theater also, the biggest key takeaway is that we tend to forget lines in between. But our duty is that it should not come up on our face because the audience has no clue about a script. In your case also, the audience doesn't know what was the fourth point or what was the third point. It all depends upon you. How do you cover up? If you are okay with this fact that, okay, I might forget. ऐसा नहीं बोलना कि I'll forget. No, I might forget. And if I might forget, I will be able to relate to points. And another simple tip, which I gave in the impromptu speaking as well, to buy time. The best technique to buy time is to ask the audience a question. Let them answer. And once they are answering, you will get back to where you were. Either you will remember that point or you will know what to speak next. But you have brought your time. Once you have brought your time, the audience would not know. So always, this is the, I would say the best backup. If you forget, be calm and just ask the audience one question, any question, whatever you're talking about, or talking about anything else. Like, okay, I'll give you a simple observation. Throughout this speech, you might have observed one style which I was adopting again and again. मैं कुछ बोल रहा हूँ और एकदम से बीच में बोलता हूँ, अच्छा लेट मी आस्क यू दिस क्वेश्चन, अच्छा ओके आई आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन. मैं कर रहा था 1 घंटे से, यहाँ तो मैं कैंडिडेट था, पर जब मैं स्पीच देता हूँ और जब मैं भूल जाता हूँ तब मैं फटाफट यही करता हूँ, ओके लेट मी आस्क यू दिस क्वेश्चन, अच्छा टेल मी वन थिंग. तो लोगों को नहीं पता लगता कि मैं भूल गया, उल्टा लोगों को लगता है वाओ ये तो हमें एंगेज कर रहा है, राइट. So that is why you have to be a little smart. It should not come here. यहाँ तब आता है फेस पे जब आपको लगता है आप कभी नहीं भूलेंगे और आप भूल जाते हैं. अगर आप कंफर्टेबल हैं कि हाँ मैं भूल जाऊंगा या जाऊंगी, कोई बात नहीं, जब वो कोई बात नहीं आ जाता है ना, तो फेस पे भी नहीं आता.
Very true. Definitely, it comes with practice, and once we practice consciously while speaking to others, to public or in a group, definitely these things do matter. And whenever you are facing difficulty passing the ball to the other person to speak and getting the buying the time, so that we can recollect our thoughts. And other thing that I practice is like whatever is hitting your mind, just speak on that, and you never know, you can connect and get some of the big things.
Looks like network issue. We can't
Not
hear.
audible, Shivani.
Hmm. In the meanwhile, Sakshar, only one point. Sometimes we are in the panel and speaker, and one of the speaker take a lot of time. They start sharing, and they take others, eat away others' time. How to manage that situation?
Well, thank you for the question. That's a tricky situation, no doubt, but I would like to change your perspective a little. What
Okay.
happens is generally we are, and I've been in certain situations where I'm not very confident about the topic. For example, I'm a lawyer by profession and in the space of cybercrime. But a lot of people think that I'm a technical guy. So in one of the conferences I went, it was a big stage conference and I came prepared with all the content. And guess what? The topic was too technical. I had no clue about the topic. They thought that I am a technical speaker. I was there on the panel and I realized, okay, I'm stuck now. What to do? So in that
Hmm.
case, the more footage you are giving to the other person, the better it is. Why? Because see, again, psychology. If I am sitting in the audience, I think that speakers are arrogant. Speakers take their time to speak. And if someone is not, is giving the others the time, for example, ek do line bol ke, acha sir, what do you think? Sir, please your perspective. तो आप अपने आप को डाउन प्ले नहीं कर रहे हैं, उल्टा आप अपनी इज्जत बढ़ा रहे हैं। वाओ, इनको अपनी स्पीकिंग टाइम की नहीं पड़ी है, दूसरे को टाइम दे जा रहे हैं। So in those cases when you're not confident, but yes, number two, if you are confident and the other person is taking a lot of time, then what to do? Then in that case, you have to trouble the host. You have to say that boss, इनको आप चिट पहुंचाओ, कुछ करो, but please tell him time हो गया. Otherwise, but हाँ, one thing I would like to say here is, and to everyone, in 90% of the public speaking engagements, this happens. हमें लगता है हमारे पास हाफ एन आवर का टाइम है, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे 5 मिनट ही बचते हैं. तो यू शुड बी ऑलवेज प्रिपेयर्ड कि आप अपने टॉपिक को 5 या 2 मिनट में कैसे इनकैप्सुलेट कर पाए. ये सबसे बड़ी मिस्टेक है, आई थिंक बहुत लोग करते हैं, दैट दे कम प्रिपेयर्ड. 1 घंटे का कंटेंट, हाफ एन आवर का कंटेंट, बट इवेंट में होता ही है, ऊपर नीचे होती रहती चीजें. और बहुत बार होता है आपको होस्ट या बोलेगा, कोई टीम जो है वो चिट पास करेगी, सर 5 मिनट्स में आपको वाइंड अप करना पड़ेगा. यू शुड बी प्रिपेयर्ड, यार अब मैं इसको इतने बड़े कंटेंट को मैं 10 मिनट्स में कैसे करूँ, मैं 5 मिनट्स में.
Perfect. And that we learned in Toastmasters a lot.
Yeah.
वहां पे वो नहीं देते टाइम. Thank you. Yes, Shivani ji, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My internet was troubling. I got disconnected in between. So the point I was talking was whatever is hitting to your mind, just carry on with that. And sometimes you never know, you connect with the right ideas, right context, and right words that add value more than what you have already prepared. So this is a strategy that I do follow while speaking. So that's what I wanted to share. And thank you, Sakshar. It was a wonderful session. We have a lot of new insights that we can definitely implement while speaking in public or on a stage or off a stage with a group of people. Definitely improving ourselves is monitoring the lacks and then implementing on them consciously while speaking. So that's, we only are the action takers and we only have to improve our speaking skills. Thank you so much. And definitely I would love to have another session on cybersecurity with you in coming months. So we'll plan out for that.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank
Wonderful
you, everyone.
deliberation. Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you next Saturday. Bye-bye. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank